The next item on the agenda is Sneath Lane, and it's a request for a parcel map for the subdivision of one lot into 3 lots. A planned unit permit for the development of 3 new homes per section 12.20, 12.88, and 12.116 of the San Bruno Municipal Code. And staff report, please.
Thank you. The item before you is a request for a parcel map and a planned unit permit to allow the development of 3 new single-family homes. The subject site is located along Sneath Lane. It is currently a vacant site of about 17,425 square feet. There are existing single-family homes to the rear of the site and the city's pump station to the west of the site. To prepare the site for the planned development, the applicant would be required to remove approximately 21 eucalyptus trees. As you noted on your site inspection, this is a pretty heavily wooded site at this point. Also noted a condition of approval that would require a clear area around the houses to be maintained for the fire department as a condition of approval. So that would require all these eucalyptus trees to be removed. The applicant, as I indicated, is requesting a planned unit permit to allow a little bit more creative site planning to encourage a cluster development at this site. And what that PUP would allow would be reduced lot size for each of the new single-family residences, as well as reduced setbacks. And what you're getting in exchange for that reduced lot size and reduced setbacks is about 12,000 square feet in open space. So each parcel created would be just for the single-family homes, and then the rest of the area around it would be maintained as common open space. So they would be establishing a homeowners association as well as CC&Rs to maintain that common open space. As you noted on the landscape plan, to the east of the property of the homes, there's a small little area that would then be kind of a common gathering place, a landscaped feature for all the homeowners to enjoy. The Architecture Review Committee reviewed this, the home design as well as the site layout at their October 15th meeting. The committee recommended adding 2 guest parking spaces, and the applicant was able to revise the plan, as you see before you, to have those 2 off-street parking spaces. There would not be street parking directly in front of the site, so you would need to utilize your 2-car garage and as well as the driveway, and then we would have those 2 guest parking spaces off-street. The committee also recommended that the building colors be modified and incorporate a trellis feature on the middle building. And the applicant has incorporated all of those items. Could you bring up the color sample? We have the color board as well as a color sample, and I think actually one of the art committee members actually wanted happier colors or brighter colors. So the applicant has prepared a few different options for your consideration. On the board is the original proposed colors, and then he's prepared 3 different alternatives for your review and consideration. And as well as I indicated, that trellis feature has been added to the middle building. The architect has also reviewed the landscape plan to incorporate trees that are more appropriate for San Bruno's climate. And staff would like to add a condition of approval to require that all the new trees planted be at least 24-inch box-sized trees. So that would be a condition in addition to the ones that you have in front of you, and we would add that condition under the planned unit permit. I think that's about it. I'd be happy to try to answer any of your questions. The architect and the property owner are also here this evening.
Thank you. Are there any questions for staff?
The chair.
Commissioner Petersen?
Some time ago, the city passed new laws that require a certain amount of time that for each building permit, and that if the permit isn't done, they have to have a extension, if it's permitted at all, by staff approval. And so my question is, in this document, under the planned unit finding number 7, it says the applicant demonstrated they plan to obtain a building permit in 6 months and intend to complete construction within a reasonable time. Will there be a time certain for the permit for this work?
The time, as you indicated, would be governed under our length of construction ordinance, and I forget that timing is based on valuation, or?
It's based on valuation of the project, but most likely for a new home, it would be a 2-year construction time period that they would have to complete it in, from the time they actually pull the building permit down.
So would it be fair to modify this finding to reflect, instead of a reasonable time, a time determined by the building permit requirements?
We could amend it, but the PUP finding is actually straight out of our municipal code. Those are the findings you have to make for a PUP. So what we could do is add an additional finding that basically states that they will also build it within, once they pull a building permit, they will build it within the time frame specified within the code.
Thank you. That's very enlightening. I didn't know there was a exact wording that had to be followed. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you could probably amend the wording, but that is the exact wording within the code as it's found within the municipal code.
So it's probably prudent to add a condition that refers to the building permit.
That's the way I'd recommend.
Very good. Thank you.
Add it as a condition then, rather than a finding? Additional finding?
An
Okay.
additional
We can do
finding.
that. Thank you.
As a matter of fact, if you would refer to number 7 as the
Mhm.
new finding would be a elucidation of number 7. Thank you.
Are there any other questions for staff? Thank you.
Thank you.
If the applicant can please step forward and give us a summary of your project, please.
Good evening, Commissioners. I didn't really prepare anything. I hope the drawings and the boards and so on speak for themselves. So if you have any direct questions, I'd be happy to answer them. There's one thing that we wanted to add about the green design is I talked to the owner, and we're probably going to pursue doing photovoltaics on the roof, since 2 of the units have really good southern exposure and pitched roofs. And then the middle unit, we could probably do something on the eastern side. So if you have any other questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the applicant? Thank you, sir.
Through the chair.
Commissioner Petersen?
I noticed you had some good public outreach and having a meeting on May 18th.
We did.
Although no one showed up. Did you have any opportunity to speak to the neighbors that abut the property?
Actually, the history of this project goes back about 1.5 years ago, where we had 2 single-family homes approved. And at that time, we did have an outreach meeting, and there was a lot of interest, and we did mitigate a few things. And then as financial times came upon us, then we kind of went back to the drawing board and approached the planning department and tried to get another unit to make it just more economically viable. And the next outreach meeting we had was the no-shows, and it almost seemed like there were bigger concerns that the neighbors had at the time. So we tried.
Very good. I thought it was good. Thank you. I was just curious why.
Sure.
If you had a chance to talk to him, and evidently you did. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else from the public that wishes to comment on this project? Hearing none, public comment is now closed. We'll bring it back to Planning Commission for discussion.
Through the chair.
Commissioner Petersen?
I'd just like to express my gratitude for proceeding with the photovoltaic systems. I know we discussed that at architectural review, so I appreciate the efforts. Thank you.
Any additional comments or motion?
Through the chair.
Commissioner Petersen?
I'd like to move that the Planning Commission approve parcel map PM 9-1, subject to conditions 1 through 26, and planned unit permit 9-2, subject to conditions of approval 1 through 31, based on findings 1 through 9, plus a finding number 10, plus an additional condition about trees being at least a 24-inch container, as requested by staff.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. There is a 10-day appeal process before any action can take place.